This next question is for all school board candidates. As you know, there are 3 alternative schools in Lee County: Bradstreet, Warren Williams, and Floyd Knight. If elected, what would you do to support these schools, their teachers, assistants, and students? Remember, you have 90-second answers.
For the alternative schools, it's the last resort for a lot of these youngsters. There are 3 things that you should do, 4 actually. 1, you should establish hope. When a child gets in a situation, they don't need to be stepped on, they need to be lifted up. There need to be personnel and people there that are constantly encouraging them. Along with the hope, I have always found it comfortable for me to work with area pastors and churches. If I have a child that needs a little extra, I know a pastor that can get it. There are things that you do there. Number 2, you need to ladder up. Every child needs to be shown, no matter where they are, that there's a way up. But you have to identify where they are and push it up. Number 3, on the practical end of it, resource officers need to be particularly chosen for wanting to work with the population that you have in your alternative school. They too should have the optimism of the teachers. And the last one, you need minimum standards. If they're going to be in an alternative school, they need to know what the standards are. They need to know what the criteria is for graduation, for success. I really recommend GEDs or something similar to that so that they know where they are. Thank you very much.
Let me first thank those teachers that work at those alternative schools. I think they deserve a round of applause. Having worked with 2 autistic children that are friends of our family, I can tell you these children are special, not just special because of who they are, but special because of the situations that they have to endure. Their parents go through unbearable stress that many of us cannot even begin to imagine. And so we need to support our teachers there. My idea is to have an open dialogue. We need to sit down with the staffs of every one of these schools and just have an open forum and say, tell us what we can do to help you. Tell us what you need. They do need more training. Working with 2 autistic children, you can't handle those children the way that you handle normal children. Plus, these 2 autistic children, both of them have different needs that if you have them both together, you're challenged to be able to get one to focus here and one to focus there because his needs are different than his needs over here. So we need lots of support for them. I would advocate any extra funds that we can send that way. We need to send that way. These are schools that one day, the alternative school at Bradstreet, they're going to put those children back out on the street. And the best way to ensure that they are safety to the community is to give them a quality education. And to the other students, yes, give them some hope, give them some support, but these children need us. And sooner or later, you will deal with them either while you have them in the schoolhouse or you'll deal with them on the street. I would prefer to deal with them at the schoolhouse. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to say that as a principal and as an employee here in Lee County, during the time I worked, I did have a chance to work with all 3 schools in some capacity. I'm so fairly familiar with all of them. I would say that the personnel at those schools are some of the hardest working people in the district. I spent a day at Floyd Knight when we were doing some campus visits and was just amazed at how hard they work. And when they had a medical emergency in front of us in one of their classrooms, those people knew exactly what to do. They had to handle it in 30 seconds. So my hats go off to them. I think it's important to be supportive in every way to the staffs and the students and the parents of all 3 of the schools, Bradstreet, Floyd Knight, and Warren Williams. I think it's important to engage in conversations with the teachers, with the teacher assistants, the parents, and the students themselves at those schools. Listen to their needs, give them the financial support they need, put the resources in their hands, whether it be training, whether it be materials that are unique that they need. And I think it's important to realize that they are unique schools, that they do have unique needs, and that they will have a different set of standards than the other schools. I think it's important, though, to always have high expectations for students at those schools. And I think our teachers and our teacher assistants at those schools already know that and are doing that. I think the school administrators there are doing that too. But I think it's important to celebrate the successes at those schools because they do have a lot of successes. People don't realize that Warren Williams, they have to go through a whole different type of accreditation process to be able to open the preschool and run it. And they have very strict guidelines to hold. Same thing with accountability at those schools. They have accountability standards, but we don't hear much about. So I think we need to celebrate their successes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm saving time. I'm starting walking there. I'm so glad we didn't do this by height. I understand that, just like you said, Kelly, we don't know unless we've been there. But I can tell you one thing that's harder than being there, and that's to be a mother of a special needs child. My son, Jamie, was born with a C-section without anesthesia in the middle of a hallway at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. They told me he would never walk, he would never talk. He took off singing and running. He's my pride and he's my joy. So I have a special place in my heart for those children, but I also have a special place for all the children. And I think it still goes back to the same 6 practices that we had talked about before. Leadership, from the state house to the schoolhouse. Higher expectations of all our children. We didn't tell Jamie, oh, you can't do this. Now, we may be a little bit harder on Burrow, but I mean, he's got long hair, he's back there. He lets us get by with these things. And we do, sometimes we have to challenge them in a different way. But it doesn't mean that we change our expectations that they can be the best that they can be. Because I know, and all of you know deep down that has a child like that God made them that way for a reason. Our role as a school board is the policies and procedures, and those are things that we can do to assist also helping them work themselves into the community. I thank you so much, and I'm done. Thanks.
Stephen Coble and Pam Sutton. The question is, in the October 9th edition of the Sanford Herald, all school board candidates were listed, showing former Lee County Commissioner Jim Womack as being treasurer for both Stephen Coble and Pam Sutton. Given his former views on local government and public schools, how will your potential role as a school board member be impacted by Mr. Womack and his views?
I like Jim, but he didn't wash my brains, and he's not about to. And the agreement that we had when I was asked to run for office was I would be running on what I believe in, on my experiences, my background, and what I hope for the children of this county. It has nothing to do with Mr. Womack, as I appreciate him. I have a lot of respect for him. I have a lot of respect for his wife. But I think each one of us, and I've heard some good ones tonight, are running on an appreciation of the children involved in this county. And if we cannot support the children, we should not be on the ticket. I just recently went back to work. My administrator, I'm a teacher now, thank you. My administrator said, you have 3 requirements. Love God, love children, and love to teach. I did have a resume, but I took the resume in there with me. That's the bottom line. If you don't love what you're doing, you're not willing to fully get involved in it, you shouldn't be there. Thank you very much.
Mr. Womack is a very good treasurer, and he handles my money well. He is trained. I am new to politics. I did not know anyone to be my treasurer, and he offered. That is that. I am very well educated. I have lots of experience in education. I spent my whole career in education, and I think for myself, and I'm aligned with the students of Lee County. I'm aligned with the parents of Lee County. I want what's best for students. I want what's best for parents. I want what's best for teachers. I'm aligned with teachers in this district and principals in this district. I am also able to read data. I did it as a principal for over 8 years. I kept a school from going into school improvement for 8 years and brought it to the top in 2011 when we won head of class. I think for myself, I make decisions for myself. And I can do that as a school board member. I can listen to parents. I've been listening to parents. I've gone out to the community. And one afternoon, I had 3 mothers tell me that they'd taken their children out and homeschooled them because they weren't happy with our schools. I listen to parents that tell me, you know, my child is in elementary school now and they're doing pretty good, but I'm really concerned about whether I should sell my home and leave this district before they get into high school. So I'm aligned with those people, and that's who I'm aligned with: the students, the parents, the teachers, and the site-based administrators in Lee County Schools. Thank you very much.
We have a question directed to Pam Sutton. In your top 10 on your campaign Facebook page, you list the reasons you would make a good school board member. Specifically, you state in reason number 6 that you have dropped off your children at school and worried if they would be bullied that day. It is interesting that you take that perspective. How would you react if you determined that your children were bullying another student? What would you do?
First of all, yes, I do have that perspective. My girls were bullied extensively in middle school. My daughter, who is here, had bubble gum thrown in her hair when she was in 7th grade. In spite of the administration's efforts to remove her from the presence of the child that did it, it couldn't be done as fully as it needed to be. She was extremely anxious. I had to take her out and put her in private school for a year and a half till middle school was over to separate her from the child who threw the bubble gum in her hair. As far as my children bullying, they better not, because they know that's not accepted in my house. They know the rules, they know that I'm a strict mom and that's not accepted. But however, I will embarrass, unfortunately, the one who's here, because in 2nd grade, when I'd been at less than a year, her teacher assistant wrote her up because she got into an incident with some other kids in her classroom, and what she did basically was harassing and bullying another student. And because my assistant principal was out that week, he normally handled the discipline. I did the overflow, but he was out that week because his dad had died. It came to my desk. She went to BIP, is what we call it. Bullet is actually the same thing as in-school suspension, just like the other 2 who were part of it. So my kids, when they were in school and I was the principal, they had the same expectations everybody else did. I enforced the the discipline code with them just like I did everybody else. So they got treated like everybody else. In fact, they think I was harder on them than everybody else.
Time for one question, and I'm going to combine it because it's really written, I guess, to school board, but it's for either school board or county commissioner, and that way, if each one of you use your time correctly, we can get this question answered. And the question is, what is your position on constructing new schools and or renovating existing schools?
It's Bob again. I would just say it's not okay for our students to be in modular units. It's not okay. I don't care if they're functioning well there. It's not okay. We've known for 5 years that we needed a new elementary school. And shame on us for not building that new elementary school. Shame on us. Look in the mirror when you go home and say, shame on me. You should have built it 5 years ago. We need to be proactive. I'm tired of piecemeal, putting things together on the fly, being reactive instead of proactive. We know that these schools are going to grow. We build a new elementary school. You know what's coming next? We're going to have a new middle school. We need to go ahead and start planning that now. As far as using existing structures, we need a comprehensive analysis to determine if it's cost efficient to renovate a building. I know one building that they're thinking about that the county's already paid for on at least one occasion and maybe another occasion. If that's the solution, then let's get it done. But at the same time, let's quit kicking this can down the road. And again, cost analysis. Look at it. Do a SWOT. That's simply analyze the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. And if it's not there in the existing structure, then let's build a new structure. But I don't want to come back here 2 years from now and still be talking about an elementary school that we knew 5 years ago that we had to build.